Shannon. This is Trey.
Hi, Trey.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Cool, okay. Yeah, man, thanks for doing this with us.
Oh, no problem, man, no problem. No problem. I'm stoked to be doing it.
Cool. I had that Dead Memory shirt too, man. I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Yeah, my friend James Covington was actually getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and he was like, here's a bunch of shirts if you want them, and I was going through and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I know, just take it before I second guess it or whatever. So,
Cool.
yeah, so I posted a photo on Instagram the other day wearing it, something like that, and a bunch of dudes were like freaking out, like, oh my god, where'd you get that, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I'm stoked on it.
That's one of the raddest.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So you broke your phone yesterday?
Yeah, I was riding in my backyard, and I didn't even fall or anything like that. I just pulled my phone out, and it was just like a bunch of lines, and I was like, damn it. And then I was like, I don't know if you texted me or not, and I wasn't sure. And then I was like, well, maybe I can text it from my girlfriend's phone. And I didn't have your number because I couldn't. It was just like I was like freaking out. I was like, damn it, he probably thinks I'm just like bailing out or something like that. But yeah, and I messaged Shad through my girlfriend's phone, and then I didn't hear back, and I was like, man, hopefully he got it or whatever. But yeah, it all worked out, so it's all good.
Rad. Okay, man. Well, you want to just jump right into it?
Yeah. So is it going to be like a video interview?
We'll see how it looks. If it doesn't look cool, then
yeah, whatever, man. I'm down with whatever you want to do.
We could start off with just some basic stuff, like how old are you?
I'm 23 years old. I'll be 24 in a month.
Cool. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Have you always lived in Florida?
Yeah, I grew up in Apopka, which is like 20 minutes away from where I live right now. I live in Longwood, and I'm actually my family goes like sixth generation Floridian, which is pretty rare because everyone that lives here is pretty much they've either moved here from up north to escape the cold, or they're from a different country or something like that. So I'm pretty my family is pretty proud of being native to Florida, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've lived here my whole life, and I love it.
What do you love about Florida?
I mean, as I get older, I appreciate more and more things about it, but I don't know. It's just completely different. Like, it's completely different than anywhere else I travel to. Like, the more I travel, the more I realize how much I love it here, you know what I mean? It's just, the nature is just completely different, you know what I mean? We have, we have alligators, we have swamps, we have all this stuff that's just completely, you can't find anywhere else in the world. And also, like, the riding scene is just completely obscure and weird, and as I've gotten older, I've realized how weird it is, like, going to California and just seeing that it's, like, very bland, you know what I mean? We come back here and, there's, like, no rules, you can ride in the grass and all that crap, and it's just, like, it's not like a, rule-based area or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
Do you ride in a lot of the small towns around there? Do you mostly stick to the cities?
I mean, we kind of ride everywhere, honestly. Like, the street sucks. Like, it's honestly bad. But I mean, that's kind of why, if you see any videos, it's like, us riding like a tree or some weird roof thing in the grass, or it's just like, because there's not really, like, you're not going to find, like, a perfect handicap rail with a ledge next to it that you can just session for hours, or a school that's just filled with stuff, But we'll drive, like, I live right outside of Orlando, so we'll drive to Daytona and, like, ride street around there and, like, venture out. And every once in a while, we'll, like, get a wild hair to ride somewhere else. But we'll go out and ride near, like, Disney World and stuff like that, and try to find spots out there. And also, I'll go down to Tampa and ride with, like, Matt Copeland and guys like that, because they have a lot of stuff in Tampa, so.
But you're always checking out different spots.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to live anywhere else besides?
So this is gonna sound so ridiculous, but the closest place to home that I've ever been that I was like, wow, I could actually live here, or like this feels like home, was Hawaii. That was on, and it's like when you say that, it sounds so ridiculous. It's like, yeah, anyone will live in Hawaii, but it's just like the weather and like just being near the beach, stuff like that. Like, it felt the most like home, and it was there's no like cool guy scene, like there's no like 4-peg pre-coaster guys, you know what I mean? Everyone's just there to shred. So, but I love going to Austin too, Austin's awesome, But I've never like wanted to like move ever, So.
That's cool. I know you've been into BMX for a long time, so how did you first get started? Like, I know I've seen you in a jersey. I'm assuming you used to race.
Yeah. So my dad rode BMX when he was younger, and in like the early '80s or whatever. When I learned how to ride a bike, took me to the track, and was like, oh, maybe you'll like it. And I was hooked on it or whatever. And I was 4 years old when I learned how to ride a bike, so we started going to the track when I was 4. Chad DeGroot opened Mission Skate Park when I was 8. I remember going to the bike shop, and my dad went to the shop, and he heard that there was a skate park opening down the street. And when the guy in the shop was like, yeah, it's in this area. So we went just to see if it was there, and they were actually building Mission. My dad was like, yeah, if you guys need any help, because he worked construction at the time, he said, if you guys need any help or whatever. And so we would go there, my dad would help work on the stuff, and then I would ride, and I started riding before the park was even open. I was hooked, I was like, this, racing sucks compared to this. Like, this is way better. Like, I can just do whatever I want, and that was pretty much when everything changed. And so I rode Mission from the time, it was open for like 4 or 5 years, till I was like 12 or 13, and then Mesh opened, Chad's second park, which was across the street. I rode there, and, that was, my life was forever changed, and I live like less than a mile away from where Mission and everything is, so I kind of live less than a mile away from where I, started riding BMX, which is kind of cool. So
right,
yeah,
right.
It's sick.
You're kind of in the Bermuda Triangle of BMX there, and
yeah, it's funny because like even kids that live in like downtown Orlando, like where everyone goes right street, like we're going to Longwood today, everyone meet up, and it's like there's nothing here, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a cool, like it's not like anything to ride. It's just like known as like a BMX. Because Sparky's is a block away. They're a half a mile away from my house. And then Chad's bike shop is a mile down the street, right next to where Mission and Mesh were. So there's a ton of like BMX in this one little area. So, and I always grew up in this area. So, I ended up buying a house here. And, it's sweet. I love it.
That's rad. So would you say your dad was like a big influence, though, before you discovered the skate parks?
Oh, absolutely. He's a surfer though. He surfs and skateboards. That's his main thing. Like he would love for me to surf, but I'm just not really into it or whatever. But he took me to the track, and he would drive. He would work over on this side of town, drive 30 minutes back to our house, pick me up, drive back over here, ride Mission until 10 o'clock at night, and then drive all the way home, and then get up and go to work the next day. So he would drive me to the skate park every single day, all day long, and I remember one of his friends was like, why do you drive your kid to the skate park all the time? He's like, what do you mean? Like, I love it. Like, I love watching my kid have fun. Like, that's the best thing in the world is to watch my kid ride. And, like, if he's having fun, then, like, that's what I want to do. I want to watch him have fun, That's, like, I think about it now. I'm like, oh, my God, so much driving, and why would you do that, But he, like, if you ever ask him about it, he's like, no, it was awesome. Like, I had a great time. So he loves it just as much as I do, And now that my brother rides and stuff like that, and every once in a while we'll get my dad to go out there and ride, pump around the bowl or something like that. So my parents have definitely been number one, supporters of riding and everything like that. So
that's right. Has your brother always ridden too?
Kinda. So he obviously was born into it, because he's 7 years younger than me. So I was already riding at Mission and stuff like that when he was born. So he's literally been at the skate park since he was born. He was just around it, he always had a bike and stuff like that, but he was never like super into it. He never, because it was like my thing. It was my thing, and he was just kind of like following me around. And then once he got to be like 10, he was like, all right, I don't really want to do this. This is just kind of Trey's thing. And then when he was about, I would say 13 or 14, one of his friends got a BMX bike, and he's like, oh, I can ride. I know how to ride BMX. And they started riding together, and they had their little crew. It kind of got him stoked on riding again because he could do it with his friends, and they could go out and ride. I had already moved out at the time, so it was like his thing, and now he's more into BMX than I am, so it's kind of cool to see him, like, take his own path and kind of do his thing, and, so, yeah, but it's all, we ride together every day, so it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's cool.
When did you get your first real BMX bike?
16-inch bikes weren't really. You couldn't go to the shop and buy a 16-inch. You couldn't go buy like a 16-inch Kink or a Sabrosa or something like that like you can now. It was there was none. So like I had just some crappy like Magna 16-inch or whatever that I would ride at my house on like a box shop my dad made, and then the Haro made the Dave Mirra signature 16-inch bike, and that was like the first 16-inch that actually you could like ride. It had like 36 hole wheels, 3-piece cranks. Like, it was like legit. I had 3 of those, and so that was kind of like my first like real BMX bike was a 16-inch Haro.
I told you the other day, I was told by Big Murphy that you had a pretty cool collection of old BMX stuff, and was that an accurate assessment?
I mean, I wouldn't say I have a interesting collect. I mean, I don't, compared to like a lot of dudes that are on Instagram that have their collections, no, it's not that crazy. But I mean, I guess to a lot of people, it's pretty cool. I mean, I have on my wall right now. I have Christopher's old King frame. It's Stuart King's old bike company.
Sure.
So I have one of those that I got from my friend Joey. I got a solid killing machine like 3 days ago from my friend James Covington. That was Kevin Porter's signature frame. I'm kind of looking around my room right now. I got a 94 Bully Hot Rod. I also have a Capone, a Rebel Contender. I have this is probably my favorite my favorite thing is I have Vic Murphy's personal Patriot. And the story behind that was that I saw this guy named Dustin that rides with Vic sometimes.
Sure, Dustin Orm.
Yeah, Dustin Orm. Yeah. He had a 32 Dirt Brothers sprocket, like a solid one on his bike. And I was like, damn, dude, that thing's awesome. Like, I was like, does Vic still have any of those? And he's like, oh, I'm not really sure. I can give you his number though if you want to ask him. And I was like, all right, cool. And I got a hold of Vic. I was like, hey man, I kind of collect mid-school stuff. I was wondering if you had any more Dirt Brothers sprockets. They're pretty cool. He's like, yeah, let me see what I got. And I didn't really hear back from him. And I was like, all right. And then I hit him a few days later. I was like, hey, did you ever hear anything? And he's like, yeah, I think I might have some stuff. And I was like, cool. I was like, and if you got a Patriot laying around, I'd love to buy one. Like. And he sent me a photo, and it was like all these Patriots and the American flag, like an American flag one. I was like, oh my god, dude. I was like, if you ever want to sell one, let me know because I would love to have one for my collection. And he's like, all right, cool. And then I didn't hear anything, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna bother him, Then 3 weeks later, a box showed up at my door, and there was a Patriot in the box, 2 32 sprockets, and a 36 tooth Dirt Brothers sprocket, and this stem also he threw in there, and a bunch of stuff, and it was like a note from him like saying like Dirt Bros rule, and I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy, like because he's like one of my favorite riders to ever watch ride because he has literally the most unique style of any. I think he might have the most original style of anyone to ever ride a BMX bike ever because it was just pure power and just radness, and like I always try to like look at that and go, how can I do that with my stuff? You know what I mean? Like it's not even really what you're doing; it's how you're doing it. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm not talking about Mike Aiken style. I'm talking like just straight ratitude, like everything down to the facial expression. So, yeah. So I guess I got a few things laying around, but yeah, definitely the Dirt Bros from Vic is one of my all-time favorites for sure.
Vic is the raddest.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you think many riders your age are interested in old BMX stuff or the history of BMX in general?
I don't really care if they are or not, you know what I mean? Like, I love it, So, but no, not my age, no. I mean, yeah, I don't think very many people are interested in it, but I love BMX in general, There's so much more to it than just riding right now, you know what I mean? There's so much, even if you're not into the history stuff, you still gotta, like, appreciate it and, like, understand what it is. I'm not the guy to go, like, BMX was better back then or anything like that, but yeah, it's cool, man. I love it. I love it.
Sometimes it seems like embracing a broader spectrum of it makes it a more enriching experience.
Yeah, and it's like, BMX is so easy to watch now, like at 2016, all you have to do is Google someone's name, you see a video, and it's like, all right, cool. Like, that's awesome. That's so sick that you can do that. But at the same time, I love, like, searching for a killing machine. Like, searching, oh, my God, I found the one. I found it. And you finally get it. And, like, I don't know. To me, that's awesome. So I have a friend named James Covington. His name's Native Bikes on Instagram. He does native bikes. He does, like, all like handmade leather seats. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so he's always been super into collecting all kinds of crap, and I never really understood it when I was younger. I've known him since my whole life. I would always talk to him about it, and he's like, yeah, I got this, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool, man, whatever. And then I was online and I saw an ad for like an old Capone, and I remember thinking, I was like, damn, those bikes are so sick. I always loved like the beer can head tube, and I always thought it was so cool. And I was like, you know what, I kind of want one. I hit him up and I was like, hey man, you have an old Capone? He's like, actually, yeah, I do. And I got it, and I was looking at it, and I was like so stoked. I was like, damn, this is really cool. And I built it up, and I instantly was just like, damn, I need to build another bike. Like I want to get another bike. I want to get another bike. Now I have like 6 complete bikes, and that's not a lot to a lot of people, but it was a lot to me. That one and the Bully Hot Rod that I have is probably the 2 first pieces that I was like super stoked on.
Did you intend to start collecting things, or did it just happen, or did you collect other things before that?
I was never like, man, I want to have a room full of crap, you know? I always rented and stuff like that. And then once I bought a house, I had this extra bedroom. Me and my roommate at the time, we were like, we're just going to call it our man cave. We'll just fill it there, like, full of badass stuff. It just kind of started rolling where I would go to a thrift store and I would see, you know, a Hank Jr. bobblehead or, you know, something ridiculous like that. I'd be like, oh, this is good in the man cave. And it kind of started snowballing a little bit. And now I'm, like, addicted to it. I'm addicted to just, like, looking for stuff, like old VHS tapes and Shaq dolls and, you know, just random crap like that. But, you know, it's like, I have on the wall, I have my dad's first ever BMX frame. To me, that's awesome. Like, there's not very many people that can say they have like, that bike changed my life. It changed his life, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to be able to have something like that. My girlfriend always gives me crap about having so much crap, and I'm like, listen, in 20 years, it's going to be awesome that I have every Colt frame that I've ever had. It's going to be cool that I have my first prototype Colt frame. You know what I mean? Like, in, you know, 10, 15 years, that's going to be sick. Yeah, I mean, obviously to a lot of people it's not that valuable, but to me, you know, I love it. You know, it's fun. It's a good way to waste money, you know, when you don't need to, so.
Still doing okay to talk for a little bit longer? I've got a couple more questions.
Yeah, I'm fine, dude. I don't have anywhere to be.
Rad. Well, can we shift gears again here and talk about, maybe tell me a little bit about Crack Dad and his relation to Black Dad? And I was on the Black Dad page at some point recently, and I was telling Chad or someone that it reminded me of like the zines that I liked in the early 90s.
Yeah. It all goes back to, I was writing for Fox at the time, and I've always wanted to make stuff. I love making stuff with my hands and like creating stuff and, you know, making something to make someone smile or laugh or, you know, something stupid like that. So I was like, oh, I want to make shirts. And I was working for Fox at the time. They were like, well, if you make shirts, then you're going to be fired because we're your clothing sponsor. And I was like, all right. Then I was like, well, I can just make like a website or something, like not a blog, but just something that where I can make things and just post them. You know, people will like it. So I started doing a website or whatever, just called blackdad.net. I made a zine. I was like, oh, I'll do like a zine, and it can be like, you know, tied to the website, like the same photos like that. The name came up. It was a picture of Bill Cosby. And it sucks now because Bill Cosby has like such a terrible thing attached to him because I had already made a zine with him on it, and then like 2 years later everyone says that he's like raping girls like that, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, now people think that I'm, you know, stoked on the guy that's, you know, raping chicks or whatever. But it wasn't like that. It was way before any of it happened. So I had a zine, and it said it was him wearing a Black Flag shirt. But it didn't say Black Flag, it said Black Dad, and I was like, oh, that's funny. Me and my friends thought it was funny, and I just put it on the cover, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll call it that, you know, it'd be funny. I just started making crap, and, you know, and just like doing stupid like little drawings like that, not thinking anything of it, and then all of a sudden people started saying, you know, oh, you're a racist because, you know, you used the term Black Dad, and I'm like, how? Like, I didn't say anything about anyone being lesser of a human. I didn't say anything. All I said was Black Dad, you know. How was that offensive? And all people were like, that's just messed up, dude. And I was like, all right, well, whatever, you know, sorry, I didn't mean to offend anyone by just using the term, you know, the word black or whatever. So, year or two goes by, I end up getting kicked off of Fox for not wearing their shirts. And I was like, all right, cool, I can make shirts now, sick. So I started making them shirts, and I got a hold of my dance comp team, and I was like, hey, man, you know, I want to make some shirts, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, I'm sorry, but I can't carry anything that says Black Dad on it. I'm just sorry. That's too gnarly. And I was like, are you serious? You carry shit luck shirts, but you can't carry a Black Dad shirt. It's just the word black. It's not anything. It's literally nothing. He's like, I'm sorry, dude, I just can't do it. And I was like, shit, well, what am I gonna do? And I was talking to my friend James, and he just started like I told him what was going on. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, maybe you can call it Jack Dad or Back Dad or Crack Dad. And I was like, Crack Dad. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, that might be even more offensive than the first one because that's a drug versus a race of people. So I hit the dude up and I was like, hey, like, can I use Crack Dad? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's okay, but the other one isn't. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. I started running both names or whatever, and everyone's like, "What is it? What? How can you have two names? Like, it doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the point. It's funny. Like, there's two different names." I was like, "It can be whatever you want. If you don't want to say Black Dad, you can say Crack Dad or whatever." I hate when people try to market stuff on Instagram, like, "Hey, I made new shirts. Go check it out." Blah blah. I just make some shirts, and and if someone wants to buy them, then that's cool. And if no one wants to buy them, then that's cool. I'm not trying to make a living off it. All I want to do is make shirts that make people laugh and hook up dudes that are badasses that ride. So I pretty much give my friend Colt Fake, Chris Childs, Kenny Horton, Eric Holiday, and Chad Osborne shirts. I'm actually giving that dude, there's a guy named Dylan Lewis that writes for Mutiny. I'm going to be giving him some shirts too, and he shreds. Yeah, so pretty much just give shirts to people that, kick ass and that are into what I'm into, and make shirts every once in a while, and that's it. I don't try to make like a profit off of it, or I know for a fact that it's not popular, and I know for a fact that not a lot of kids like it, but it doesn't make me not want to do it. I just do it because I like to do it.
Who are some of your favorite people that you ride with?
Pretty much I ride with my brother, Jabe Jones, and his friend Alex Lamelli. Those are like my two guys that I ride with almost every single day, I'll go ride with Colt Fake a lot because he's always motivated to go out and ride or whatever. I mean, some of the guys I ride with are like Chad DeGroot, Mike Andrews, a lot of old school BMX guys, Matt Copeland. So a lot of the older Florida guys that are, it's actually funny because it's like if you're over 40 now, you're like more motivated than the guys that are like 30 years old. You know what I mean? Like the guys that are like at the 30-year-old mark, they don't want to ride at all. Like they're just like, nah, I'm good.
What's it like to be part of something like Colt or Shadow?
Every person that rides for Colt or Shadow, like, everyone, all these guys, like, they claim, like, we're a family, this isn't a brand, this is a family, blah, blah, but, like, I can honestly say that, like, every person that is on, Colt and Shadow are, like, my best friends, you know what I mean? Like, those are my guys, like, I've been with Colt ever since day one, and I've rode for Shadow for the past 7 years. Those two brands, I don't know anything else, like, it's not like, I'm not like, oh yeah, I rode for, We the People for a little bit, and then I rode for, Felt for a little bit, and I rode for this company, like, it's not like that. Like, it's, we're in it for the long haul, and that's it, I guess, like, even films like Talk is Cheap and Let 'Em Talk like that, and Shadow Video, like, it was never like, all right, this is going to be a huge video. This is going to be, like, a big thing. It just kind of happened, we were just going out on trips, and we were riding and filming, and it just kind of happened. Ronnie and Robbie they're both completely opposite people. They're literally the polar opposites when it comes to business standpoints of stuff and like the way they run stuff. But they both work perfectly, and it's really good for me to see what Ronnie does and see what Robbie does and be able to like have both sides of it and have, but they both got my back, and it's awesome, man. I would never want to ride for two other brands ever, I can't complain about one single thing from either brand. It's awesome. Everyone on the team, everyone on both teams are my best friends.
So how does that compare to something like Vans or Dan's Comp?
Like, I would be wearing Vans even if I wasn't. If I didn't ride for Vans, I mean, any BMXer knows, even if you don't ride for Vans, you're still probably gonna wear Vans. So the fact that I get to ride for them for a living is even better. That makes it 10 times better. Dan's is like, that's incredible because they help me out. Like, a lot of people don't think that Dan's has like a face to it, but like whenever I make shirts or if I do anything, if I want to go on a trip and I can't afford it or whatever, and I'm like, hey man, can you guys help me out? They're like, yep, sure. What do you need? How much you need? What do you like? What, we got you. So riding for both of those companies is like perfect. It's not necessarily as much of a team. Like it's more separated, but like when it comes to dealing with like Scott Town at Dan's Comp, that dude's the best. Like there's no other dude that like kills it as hard as he does. Like he's on the ball about everything, and he's always, if I can ask him for anything, he's down. And Batters is out of his mind, at Vans, but he still kills it too, so it's awesome.
Right now you have a signature frame, a bar, cranks, a seat,
and grips.
And grips. Am I missing anything?
No. I think that's it. Yeah.
Does that feel like it supports you, or do you have to? Sorry, I got another call coming in here.
Sorry.
Do you feel like that? Is that able to support you, or do you have to do other gigs, or?
No, riding is all I do, man. That's all I do, and I can't thank Ronnie and Robbie both enough to be able to be in the position that I'm in. You know what I mean? And I work my ass off. You know, if I'm not working on a project, I'm not doing my job. You know, I always hate to refer to riding as a job, because it's not. It's not a job at all. I would be wanting to do this right now if I wasn't making any money at all. As far as the signature stuff goes, man, it's like my signature grips were the first thing that I ever had. I remember I had just got on the protein for Shadow. I was 17 years old at the time. Ronnie's like, so you want to do a signature grip or something? And I was like, whoa. From there, it's excelled, to cranks and a seat and all this other stuff, and it's awesome, dude. I can't be more appreciative of, those two guys for doing every single thing that they've done for me. They're allowed me to be in this house right now, It's, so I can't complain at all, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. It seems like with a lot of riders, there's not that same perspective, but you seem to have a really good attitude about things. Where do you think that comes from? It
probably comes from my upbringing, I guess. My dad used to work construction, and now he does landscaping. He goes out and he works 6 days a week in the Florida sun, and it's literally the most miserable thing ever. He gets up every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes to work, works a 12-hour day, and he doesn't complain, and he never says it's hot, and he never says that it's raining, he never says anything, and he just works his ass off. He always says, don't be a sorry ass, don't be a sorry ass, and I've always thought that, and whenever I go on trips and I see guys that are just it's whatever they want to do, I'm not saying it's wrong or whatever. Whenever I see a guy that's smoking weed and he's just complaining and he's oh, this sucks, blah blah blah, I'm like, dude, you're on a goddamn free trip to Barcelona and you're smoking weed, complaining about anything? You're an idiot. How are you even complaining about this right now? We are killing it. We can literally it does not matter what happened, we're killing it. When we were in Hawaii, I was like, dude, it doesn't matter what happened on the trip. We're in Hawaii riding our bikes for free. This is so badass. I don't care what we could go ride a curve. I don't care. We're in Hawaii for a BMX trip. This is unreal. I just try to be positive, and a lot of people get jaded about riding, and they get burn out and all that. There's no one else to blame about any of that crap except for yourself. I could complain about how I hate all these kids, or they're all salty and there's all these rules to BMX, but instead of complaining about it, I'll just do the complete opposite and just tear it all down. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn. I don't care if someone thinks that my riding doesn't count. Oh wow, an Instagram comment says it doesn't count. That literally means nothing. And I see guys that literally get so upset about it and so mental about it, and I'm just like, that's not the comment's fault. That's your fault. That's your fault for caring. I guess my dad's always just told me suck it up and don't be lazy and don't be a wimp. If you're a professional biker and you do it for a living, you should never be complaining about anything ever. Nothing. There's literally nothing to complain about, because especially being a pro rider, it's all in your court. Especially now, it's all your. If you're not going out and putting in effort, and you're not putting out Instagram stuff, and you're not putting out video parts, and that's your fault. That's no one else's fault but your own. And then I hear from Ron and Robbie. They've been a good guide of hey, do this, but don't do. You got to play the game. You got to go out and do stuff for a ride and the come up, and you have to do all that stuff, but do it in your own way. You don't have to completely sell it and be hey, cool hat, check it out. You don't have to do that. You can do your own thing and do it in your own way. I don't think a lot of people understand that. So if that makes any sense at all.
No, it makes tons of sense. That's awesome.
Cool.
Can't help but talk to you and look your video collection there to your right.
Yeah, this isn't all BMX videos. This is Weekend at Bernie's and Jurassic Park and Smoking the and stuff like that. So
sure, but it's all VHS.
Yeah. It's all VHS. I love it, man. I love it.
So, are there any old bike videos that you like to watch?
I like watching videos. If I'm not like watching it, if I'm just zoning out and just doing this, I usually put on a video like I'll put Forward on or Mission to Nonsense or something like that I've seen a million times. So I hear the song and I kind of hum it. And I understand. I know what's going on. I remember the parts. You know what I mean? Any props, man. Any props. Blueprint. I love Blueprint's a great video. All the Bakos. BMX VHSs are the hardest things to come by. That's like those are harder than bike parts because either you were younger and you threw them away because you didn't care, or if you have them, you want them. You know, you don't let, a lot of guys don't want to let go of VHSs, or if they are letting go of them, they're all the popular ones that everyone has. You know, they're the, you know, How To Basics with Fuzzy Hall and the certain props issues that everyone got at every single contest for like 2 years straight. And yeah, I mean, I love collecting VHSs. So it's fun because it's hard. It's hard. That's why when I see Shad's collection, I'm like, holy shit.
It's awesome. That
dude, he put in some work for that because that is a lot of freaking videos. I got a lot of videos. I bought probably, I don't know, I'd probably say over 50 videos from Van Homan. I bought his whole VHS collection. That was kind of a crazy one because he posted on Instagram, said, hey, I'm selling a bunch of videos if anyone wants them, but you have to come get them. And he was in Philly at the time. I texted him immediately, and I was like, hey, man, I want those videos. Like, how much do you want for them? Like, will you ship me? He's like, sorry, dude, I'm not going to ship. This is going to cost me over $100 to ship all these videos down there. And I actually was about to drive. I was driving to Bethlehem, like, a month later, and I was like, can you just keep them at your house? I'll come by, and I'll pick them up if you just keep them for a little bit longer, and however much money you want for them. He's like, okay. He ended up dropping them off at Crandall's house, and I went to Crandall's and picked them all up and I just PayPal'd Van like $100. I was like, here. He's like, I don't want anything. I'm like, dude, here, take $100. Like, that's the least I can do. You know, you gave me, and it's crazy because like, I'll get like a props and it'll be Van on the cover, and I'll be like, this is his video. You know, this is his copy of this video, and he's on the cover of it. You know, or like a lot of them aren't even open. Like a lot of them still have like the subscription things and like all like one of them had like a Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX sticker inside of it and stuff like that, and like all these old stickers. So it's cool. Like I love all that shit.
The first time I think I met you, I'd heard about you and I'd seen a few videos, but I think the first time I saw you ride in person was a 2009 JOMOPRO, maybe.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a practice session and you were just shredding and you were filming with, or my buddy John Andrus was out there filming.
I remember that,
Do you remember any stories from the JOMOPRO, or what were the first big contests you remember going to?
I mean, the Bakos were always our local contest, you know, the Bako contest at Mesh, and that was like, those were insane because it was just like wild in the streets, like at Mesh. Like Chad literally let anyone do whatever they wanted. You could go spray paint a huge dick on the spine if you wanted to, like he didn't care, you know. So it was just kind of me being 13, you know, 12, 13, 14 at the time, and like, you know, all these guys are running around half naked and just, you know, throwing off fireworks inside the skate park, and I was just kind of like, whoa, I'm just here to ride, like. So that was kind of like my first thing. I remember I rode for Nike 6.0 at the time when I was like, I got on when I was like 14 or something like that. Mark Losey was like, dude, you should check out this contest called JOMOPRO. I think you would really like it. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was talking to my mom about it, and my mom was like, yeah, well, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we went, and it was awesome. I did like decently well. I think did I ride amateur? I think I rode amateur. And that was the first time I ever saw Tom Dugan ride. That was that, and he it was pretty crazy, like watching him, because he would like hit the ceiling like every run, and it was just like, I mean, I remember I didn't hear about him for like another 3 or 4 years later. I was like, oh, that's that same kid from JOMOPRO or whatever. But actually, after the first year I went to JOMOPRO, I came home, I had an email from Robbie, and it said, hey, I loved watching you ride at JOMOPRO, can you give me a call? And he asked me to be on Fit. All that kind of unfolded. You know, I rode for Fit for a few years, and everything fell apart. And then when Colt started, he asked me to ride for Colt. So yeah, it's kind of funny that you said that, because JOMOPRO is probably like a big stepping stone for me. You know what I mean? It was a pretty big thing. But yeah, those contests were sweet, man. It was awesome.
That's right. Do you like going to contests?
Yeah, I love it. I enjoy it. You know, I grew up in the indoor skate park contest, era. That was that was just what you did. It was Law Revs, it was Metro Jam. Like Edwin wouldn't go, no, I'm not going to that. That's an indoor park con. He would show up and kill it, and Dave Asado would be there, and Dave Mira. That's three guys that are completely different. And they would all go the same thing. So I grew up in that era where it was just contests were just what you did. It was you went to contests and that's what you rode. So I've never had a problem riding contests. Like I always enjoy it, and I know how to ride a contest. If that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna go out there and try one trick for the whole time. I actually know how to put a run together. So I think they're fun, and I like being able to try to find something different to do or whatever. I'm actually going to that Huntington Beach Bowl contest at the end of the month. So I'm excited that because it's like one of the only contests I do a year. So. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that.
You think in the future people might collect parts from this modern era and maybe even some of your signature parts? Do you think there might be a fraction of people out there still interested in things from this era of BMX?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say, like, in 20 years, any of this stuff is going to be valuable to someone. Continue. BMX is so young, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about, like, the oldest stuff is, like, the early 70s, and that's, like, nothing compared to a lot of things,
Do you remember who was on the first cover of the first magazine you ever saw?
I mean, I remember one whenever I was young. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. It was a BMX Plus of Cory Nastazio doing a Superman C grab, and it was like shot, like he was in the air like this, and it was shot straight on, and he was like his bike was literally like above him like this, and he was just like stretched out. And I remember being like, holy shit, like that's badass. Like that's BMX. But also because Nasty is like my favorite rider of all time because first ever race clinic when I was 4 years old. It was 1996. It was a DK race clinic. Neil Wood, Rod Miranda, and Dusty Weedman came to our local track, and they had DK dirt circuit that weekend. And it's funny because I work with Neil Wood on designing Colt stuff now, and he was the first pro that I ever saw in my entire life. So it's pretty funny that it worked out like that. Cory Nastazio had just gotten on Bully, and he was like a local kid around here. He was from West Palm, so we would always see him at the track and stuff like that. And he ended up winning the DK Dirt Circuit and like beat like TJ Lavin and all these guys that were already in the X Games. And I remember like that burned into my brain. Like I remember like seeing like his orange Bully and being like, oh my god, that dude is badass. He just did a backflip right in front of me. That was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Somehow I got the VHS tape of the contest. And that was like my first BMX video I ever have, and I still have it. And it's awesome. I got to like know him pretty well, and I sent him like a photo of the Bully, and I was like, "Hey man, this is supposed to be like your bike that you had at that contest." And he was like super stoked, and my like 4-year-old self was like, "Holy shit, I just got to say that to Cory Nastazio," So
the frame graphics were sort of reminiscent of the.
Yeah, absolutely. We were trying to figure out what to do. I was sitting in this chair, I was looking around, and I was like just looking at everything, and I was like, okay. And I saw the Bully, and I was like, oh my god. And then the wheel just started turning, and I was like, oh my god, I could do my like Jesco, my dog's face, but like the Bully guy, he could have the same eyes, and he got the nose ring, and he could say Colt, like it says Bully, and then we got the and then I told Robbie, and he was like, all right, cool. And I was like, really? You're gonna let me make a neon orange frame with flames on the side of it as my signature frame? He's like, that's what you want, then that's what we'll make. And I was like, all right, cool. And actually I have one, this is one right here that I still have that's never been ridden before. So it's got the Jesco in the front.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked on it, man. I'm like, I look at it all the time, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that I actually, have one of these or whatever.
It sounds like you ride with a good mix of riders, and you've got a balance of influences. And but what do you love about BMX?
What I love about BMX, I don't know, dude. I guess the feeling. There's a feeling of hauling ass down a hill going really, really fast with a bunch of your friends next to you. Like that's it. That sums it all up. Like there's nothing that you can say that's gonna explain that feeling. You know what I mean? Like there's literally nothing. And I just love the culture around it. Why are people into cars? Why are people into music? You know what I mean? Like why do people like playing music? You can't explain that. It's just what I love, and it's all I know. I'm not qualified to do anything else. That's for damn sure. I don't like. That's what my girlfriend always says. What are you gonna do after BMX? And I'm like, more BMX. That's all. I'm not qualified to do anything else. Like I literally have no idea about doing anything else besides only BMX stuff. So.
You graduated high school, right?
What?
You graduated high school.
Yeah, barely. But
did you
I
take
did
any
graduate.
classes after school?
Dude, I hated high school so much. I was at the point where I was traveling so much and hanging out with guys that were 25, 26 years old that when I went to high school, I was like, you guys are all dumbasses because none of you guys have a clue what the real world's like, and you guys literally don't know anything. Like, you're worried about going to a party on Friday night. Like, you don't even realize that means nothing. Like, your world is as big as this town. Like, you're so ridiculous. And, I just couldn't imagine myself going back to school and learning something like that. I have a hard time doing things that I don't see, like learning something that I don't, I'm not going to use, Like, that's why I was always in high school. It was so difficult, like, learning chemistry. I was like, this is so stupid. I don't even need this. Like, I can't absorb this in my brain because it's so stupid. And, yeah, I just couldn't imagine going back to school. I mean, maybe one day when I'm way older and I have to or something like that. But, I mean, right now, I want to live life, dude. I don't want to waste time doing some bullshit like that. Like, I want to do something.
Would you change anything about BMX?
I never want to look back at, like, the way BMX used to be and be like, it needs to be like that. But the only thing that I would change is that I wish that I could go to a contest and guys like Scotty Kramer and Daniel Dares and all those guys would be there, and then all, like, the Brandon Begans and the Dakota Rocha and all the street guys would all be at one contest, and they're all enjoying each other's company, and they're all having a great time together. Like, I feel like the Metro GMs and the Law Reds and all that stuff, like I was saying earlier, you can have a guy like Jay Miron blasting a 540 on the quarter pipe, and then have Edwin and Vic on the side, and they're grinding, and they're having a great time, you know what I mean? And when you're around someone on the same, when you're at the same contest or you're at the same event or something like that, you have a mutual respect for each other, and you understand, okay, I get it, like, this guy's, he's cool, he's super nice, and there's not, like, this split, like, I'm a street rider, well, I'm a park rider, and there's no middle ground, and, like, I think that pros have taught kids to be that way, and what it comes down to is that guys are, like, embarrassed to be seen riding ramps, or embarrassed to be seen riding street, and it's like, stop worrying how cool you look, and just, like, love it, you know what I mean, like, no one's perfect, you know what I mean? Like, every single Instagram video put out isn't going to be like a cinematic masterpiece, you know what I mean? Like, it just put something out that's just a normal human thing. I guess I wish that more people were, like, open-minded to everything. Like, if I got invited to a vert contest, I'll go ride it. I don't care. I'll go ride a vert ramp. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I love all those guys. I think what they do is awesome. If I get invited to a Detour Park contest, I'll go do it. And
Right.
I'm not going to go send a double up over the box jump, but I'm going to go do what I do, you know what I mean? And I'm going to respect those guys for what they do.
What would be your vert moves?
Definitely just a straight disaster drop in.
Yeah. Do you still listen to heavy metal music?
Oh, yeah.
What's the best Metallica album from the 80s?
Well, there's only good Metallica albums from the 80s. That's the first thing. If I had to say my favorite Metallica album from the 80s, I'd probably have, I don't know, either Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets. It's one of the two, like, right in the middle, because Injustice for All is, like, getting, too commercialized a little bit, and, like, Kill 'Em All is almost like a different band. So I would say either one of those two in the middle.
Good answer. That's a good answer. Who's the gnarliest rider in your book?
If I think of, like, the word incredible in BMX, is definitely Colt Big. Like, he's definitely the most incredible human I've ever seen ride a bike, as far as going for something and not thinking about the consequences of whatever, and either completely dying or landing it, and both are completely fine with him. Like, it's never like, they're like, nah, dude, I'm not doing this, I don't want to get hurt. Like, it's never that. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, ready? Alright, cool. And then he just goes, and either ends up, knocked out on the ground, or he rides away, and everyone's like, holy shit, that was probably one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I've said it before, that he could be in Sean Burns' shoes by far, and he could 360 any gap that Sean Burns could jump straight, by far. I'm convinced that he's one of the best bike riders to ever live. He actually just filmed the part for X Games Real Street, and I can't wait for people to see it because he does some stuff that's incredible. And he finally got like the credit he deserved for it.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered?
I guess the reason I started collecting mid-school stuff, like I completely realized that that there's a whole other world out there, like that I can, there's other parts of the BMX that you can, besides riding, there's other things that you can do, like collect stuff and, build bikes and like, it's fun to like, piece a bike together and like look at it and just go, damn, that's sick, like you don't have to ride it, just like, it's almost like build, like a car or something like that, you can just look at it, you're like, damn, that's badass, No, I just love BMX, man, like I literally like, dude, like there's nothing, like I just love everything about it, and I hate when people are negative about BMX, I think that like, when people are negative and when they're fake or they try too hard to be cool, that's my three, don't, it's just be you, just be real, like just be who you are, and like don't give a shit about anything else, like just have as much fun as possible, and kids will see that, kids can see through all the BS, you know what I mean, like kids know when you're being real, they know whenever you're like just being a normal dude, so yeah, I don't believe in faking it, I don't believe in that, like I believe in like just doing what I love. And I don't give a damn if anyone likes it or they don't like it. Like, I'm just going to do what I do, and that's it. Like, it's,
Do you have anybody you'd like to thank?
Definitely my mom and dad, and my grandparents. And I definitely would not be right here where I am today if it wasn't for them. Ronnie B and Rob Morales, they're like the guy. That's who I owe my life to them. And then my girlfriend, Jerry Batters at Van, Scott Town, at Dance Comp, everyone. You and Shad for doing the interview, and yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'm stoked to get to do this because I don't get to talk about like mid school stuff very much, because like, what you guys do is like a very niche crew of guys, and but if they're into it, they're real into it, So I love everything you guys do.
Again, thanks so much, and I hope you have a good evening, and again, do well at Vans and have fun.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Holler if you're ever out in San Diego.
All right, will do, man.
Okay.
Later.